Hello, students! This is a video for sentence pyramids for our Week 4 story, Parent-Teacher Conferences. We will read the story slowly. We will repeat the sentences as they grow. You can listen, or for more practice, you can also repeat. This story is on page 52 of your community textbook. Okay, this is Habi. Habi has two children. She has one boy. She has one boy and one girl. Her son Oscar. Her son Oscar is in middle school. He is in sixth grade. Her daughter Maya is in elementary. Her daughter Maya is in elementary school. She is in kindergarten. Today the children are not in school. Today is parent-teacher. Today is parent-teacher conference. Today is parent-teacher conference day. Habi needs to go. Habi needs to go to the middle school. Habi needs to go to the middle school and Habi needs to go to the middle school and the elementary school. She is busy. First she goes to the elementary school. She talks to her daughters. She talks to her daughters kindergarten. She talks to her daughter's kindergarten teacher. Mrs. Smith is Mrs. Smith is her daughter's Mrs. Smith is her daughter's teacher. Hobby asks, how is? Hobby asks, how is Maya doing? Hobby asks, how is Maya doing in class? Mrs. Smith says, Maya is. Mrs. Smith says, Maya is a very good. Mrs. Smith says, Maya is a very good student. She is very good at. She is very good at reading. She is very good at reading and she is very good at reading and writing. The only problem is that she talks. The only problem is that she talks too much. Hobby says, I will. Hobby says, I will talk to. Hobby says, I will talk to Maya. Then she goes. Then she goes to the middle school. She talks to her sons. She talks to her son's 6th grade. She talks to her son's 6th grade teacher. Mr. Rios is her son's. Mr. Rios is her son's teacher. Hobby asks, how is? Hobby asks, how is Oscar doing? Hobby asks, how is Oscar doing in class? Mr. Rios says, Oscar is. Mr. Rios says Oscar is a nice kid. He is very good. He is very good at math. He is very good at math and science. The only problem is that he is very quiet. I want him to talk more. Hubby says, my children are very different. The end.